In a market that is constantly evolving and providing new, exciting ways to play and be engaged, the worst thing to be is average. To be neither great enough for long-term memory or bad enough to be used as an example of what not to do. Being average falls between, and while many games earn the title of average, I believe there's a special place for them in the gaming industry. Easily consumed and understood, simple enough to turn off your brain and enjoy its mediocrity, and yet still offering something of value, something fun. To these games I say, there is a beauty in things that are imperfect. There is joy to be gained from being simple, and I call it the art of average. First off, I think I need to clarify something. I believe that every single game ever created is art, even the bad ones. This is not a discussion about what is or isn't art, however. This series is focused on looking at games that were deemed average at their release, and yet still, in my opinion at least, offer something of value. Whether that be solid gameplay, an interesting story worth investigating, or just a very obvious passion from the developers that led to an unfortunately mediocre product. So, when I say that Kingdoms of Amalur is average, what exactly am I speaking towards? I would say that Amalur's average reputation came about from three major factors. The first being the storytelling. Now, this is different from the actual story itself, which is something I'll get into later. What I'm speaking of is the way that the game handles the delivery of its story. All conversations within the game take place within a very claustrophobic window. The top and bottom of the screen get encroached upon by massive black bars, and you're left only seeing a very narrow vision of the NPC's face, oftentimes going out of frame, leaving you looking at their forehead. It's such a strange style, and easily the most jarring conversation system I've seen in a game like this. It pulls you right out of the beautifully designed world, and has you rushing to get out of the conversation so you can get back to the game, which is really not something you want your players to feel. Next, Kingdoms of Amalur lacks any interesting characters to help the player feel a connection to something within the world. While something like Skyrim wouldn't be applauded for strong characters, it did have characters that remained somehow memorable. Characters like Parthenax, Delphine, and even Nazim, who constantly asks if you've been to the Cloud District, they're not strong characters themselves, but their uniqueness within the world itself helps them stand out in the player's memory. This isn't something that Amalur ends up providing enough of. It has well-written characters at times, yes, yet because they lack any visual flair or constant presence within the story or constant presence within your adventure, save for some main missions, they fall by the wayside and end up being fun to listen to in the moment, but then they're immediately forgotten. Finally, Kingdoms of Amalur simply lacks any sense of its world being alive. This is a major issue with a lot of open world games, but with Amalur, it stands out so much more in the context of its release. Keep in mind, Kingdoms of Amalur released just 3 months after Skyrim. 3 months. That's a major problem, because whether or not you're a fan of Skyrim as a game, most people will agree that its world had a feeling of being alive. Travelers walked the roads between towns, hunters could be seen out collecting supplies, little books, notes, and environmental storytelling elements were scattered almost everywhere where you looked. It gave the world a sense of history, and it's something that Amalur never quite achieves. The roads are abandoned save for a quest giver or two, and while books and such can be found around the place, they lack the environmental context and narrative push behind them that other open world RPGs have that makes them feel like a real book or note written by a real person who exists within this world. Yet, despite these limitations of the game's design, there is so much here to adore in Amalur. Now, while I mentioned that the world feels flat and its characters unmemorable, it's such a beautifully crafted world. Its use of colors and over-the-top armor, weapon, and architecture design really help set the world apart visually with other open-world RPGs, which generally take a fairly low fantasy approach to things. Its closest relative would be the Warcraft universe, for sure, but while Warcraft leans a bit more towards high fantasy in regards to gods and world cataclysmic events, Amalur tries to be a little bit more grounded in its approach. It tries to find a place between the approach of Lord of the Rings and the Elder Scrolls, and something more like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. It tries to fit somewhere in the middle. Now, speaking of the story, I really do want to talk about the tale that Amalur is attempting to convey. It places you, the hero, as a person who's unchained from fate, the only one. Everyone else in this universe is born with a destiny that remains hidden from them, yet a select few called Fate Weavers can tap into this ethereal plane and read a person's fate. Everyone is predestined with a select time that they will die, and the path that they take to get there isn't something that they can change. Yet as someone who has died and been reborn, you're free from this fate, and as such, you can not only change your own destiny, but the destiny of those around you. And Amalur tries to get into these philosophical ideas about whether this places you into an almost godlike status. And all in all, it's an incredibly compelling plot for a video game. Should you give in to the power that this status grants you, or should you try to avoid changing as many people's fates as possible? It certainly has potential, and for what Amalur lacks in storytelling technique, it definitely makes up for an ambition of that story. Unfortunately, as previously mentioned, this story never quite reaches its fullest potential regarding what it's trying to tell you as the story, but I really would love to see something like this be tried again in the future. It's a very, very compelling tale for an RPG. Beyond just the story and world design though, the actual gameplay of Amalur is some of the most action-focused in an open-world RPG. It leans pretty close to a character action game like God of War or Bayonetta, with a large focus on timed blocks, perfect dodge rolls, and a large focus on bouncing between multiple enemies at once within a fight. The weapons that you use are extremely varied and they're all really satisfying to use. Weapons range from a slow and heavy-hitting hammer, which has a very visceral impact, to a long-range scepter, which fires powerful magic-draining attacks at enemies. There's also staves, longswords, daggers, bows, and more unique weapon types, like chakrams, which are large, dual-wielding circular blades that you spin around your character, causing a ton of area of effect attacks around your character. They're all so much fun to use, and the archetype that you're building your character around isn't determined by your weapons and armor of choice, and vice versa. This helps it be a bit closer to the Elder Scrolls series, where you can have really crazy characters. You can have a heavy armor wearing, giant hammer wielding stealth character, and it can completely work, and it feels great being able to have so much room to explore your combat options. And this really is the takeaway that I hope you leave this video with. Kingdoms of Amalur is more than just a flawed gem. It's a game with a lot of issues for sure, but it offers such a huge amount of freedom with character creation, and it comes loaded with countless hours of epic adventuring in a world that feels flat, but looks beautiful, with a story that's wildly intriguing, but told poorly, a game with addicting and fluid combat, but surrounds those great moments with bland characters. It's a game of two halves, really, and I think that if you can look past the average, there is a real work of art to be had with Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out this video. I do apologize that it is taking up one of the days for my Let's Play episodes. But this is a video that I finally had a chance to make, and it's one that I've really wanted to make for a really long time. this kind of video was actually something that I wanted to make before I even started my Let's Play channel. It's always kind of been in the back of my head, so I'm glad that I really was able to sit down and write up what I wanted to talk about. And I hope that I did it justice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you would like to be seeing more of this kind of content. And if you don't, let me know if you would just prefer I stick to the Let's Plays. I just wanted to kind of try and branch out and see what it would be like to make some videos like this. If you have any suggestions for any other games that you think might fall into this category where they were maybe unfairly judged when they first came out, or maybe judged fairly as being average, but you think there's still some redeeming things about it, let me know. Leave a comment down below, send me a message on Twitter, or down in the comments like I mentioned, or a direct message on YouTube I think is possible. I don't know how to do it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.